G'day everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've been looking at the framework for this lathe. It's blown me away. I thought, oh, I'll pull it apart and give it a bit of a clean up and all that, and then I started to look at the angle line. And this is a piece here. See that rust mark there? Right? Well, that's a hole. Okay. So if you look over the back there, look at all the pitting. Now this is prevalent on all pieces of the angle iron and all this, so I made that executive decision, all new steel to go back into it. What is good about it, this angle iron, it was metric. Now, so that's been around since the 70s. 70s I think they changed it over. Now, the reason is that why it's rusted out, we know why. If you don't put any paint on this stuff, that's what happens. So we have to rebuild the whole lot. You know, there's some bits that I can use, but I've put rust inhibitor onto it to clean it up a little bit after I've polished it up a little bit. So it's a lot of work. I'll bring you along every now and then as I do this one, make up the frame. But one of the questions that people ask, will think, was, why the heck are you using the old vintage lathe? Why don't you go for a new one? They're cheap enough. Well, they're cheap enough, and they're pretty well made. Except when it comes to simple things like gear trains, which are made out of plastic. That's alright, you know, but it's a throwaway society that we live in now. So these cogs won't have a real lifespan or anything like that. And now there is aluminium ones. Well, yeah, righto, they won't last long either. But the variable speed is the problem. Now on all the lathes that are out there that are small, up to metre beds, virtual machining, all variable speed. Now to me that is rubbish, you know. There was only one variable speed that worked well in my industry, and that was the variable speed belt, which was on the Bridgeport milling machine. So I thought, all I want to do is drills and holes, and I don't want to make threads. So I started looking around, and of course I've come across this one. It's, I suppose you can get it up to a standard that I should be happy with. I'm sure it will be alright. If not, oh well, bad luck. But, you know, that's life. I'll bring along for the show as I proceed with making this new stand. That was the beginnings of a wood lathe that I was going to make up for someone, but things fell through there. So I ended up with this already made up. I've reinforced the slot. It's already got a slot down the middle. Very accurate cut. The screw here, can you see that? The groove here, the screw here. You know, I've got to cut it off here somewhere. Yeah, that's made things a little bit more easier for me. We'll go forth on that. Well, what I've got in the middle there is an angle line for reinforcing, so give it strength. And I have already built a wood lathe, my wood lathe in there. Some of you guys have probably have seen, and I've done a very similar setup how I've done it. That's the headstock. That was going to be the headstock. But anyway, we'll carry on regardless. So I have to, of course I've got to clean out all the rust off that and make it pretty. Then we'll get some good paint on it. Turns out I think I'll make the framework grey. I will keep the lathe black, because they had black paint on it, and it was called Japanesing paint there. That's how they used to do it in those days. They used to, the paint they used was like what was used on, was like a flat paint, and they just painted it straight onto the cast iron. And actually the original, some of the original paint was on there, and it just virtually just fell off. But I'm going to spray that with the enamel, that'll stick straight onto it and all that. So hopefully that turns out nice, what I'm doing to this thing. Will it operate any better? No, it won't with a bit of paint on, but it'll look nicer. Today I'm going to weld up the frames. Before we start off having a look at that, I'm just going to show you what I've done for the treatment of the rust on the rusty steel. I'll bring you over to it. Okay, you probably can see that. Now what I used is this product called Ranex. It's a rust buster. I can show you. It's made by Bondle. This is not an advertisement, I just know what I used. And it works very well. I've used it lots and lots of times before. And what it does, it kills the rust and makes it into what they call a friendly oxide. I think I'll just read what it says here. Converts rust from a detrimental oxide to a beneficial phosphate of iron, chemically destroying any rust present and leaving the surface in a suitable condition for painting when completely dry. So what they're actually saying there is after you're finished, you can paint straight on top of that. I like to give it a bit of a buff there, just to remove a little bit of that excess. Yeah, it really works well. After applying Ranex to the surface of the material, it goes very sticky about 10 minutes after the application. And you've got to leave it on for about 24 hours for it to really work well. Then a buff over if you want, and you can do another layer. So I'll give those a buff up. I don't really particularly worry about those places underneath here. As long as I've got the Ranex on there and I've got plenty on there, it will do its job. And I'll just give it a quick spray underneath there to make it look pretty. Yeah, so we'll proceed with welding up down below. I think I'll leave you there. That seems to be a good spot. We'll have a quick weld as we do. First of all, I better go and get my boots on. I'll just wait there. Right, first one tacked up. Get some clamps. Hello everybody. Moving on, next step. I thought I set up this shaft and see where it's going to land on the job and all this. I can mark out where the pillar block, where the bearing mounts are going to go. Anyway, I happened just to lift up the bearing. I noticed it was a little bit loose. And I thought, oh gee, that gives me another pile of problems that I'll have to go and sort out. So my next step, before I go any further, is I have to pull off the pulley, and I'll show you what I've got to do. Okay, I'll show you the slop in the pillar block. Just watch this, it'll move. I think it'll pick it up. That's not good. So it might be the bearings alright, but it might be the bearing housing itself that's buggered. Now, probably the reason why that's happened, they haven't got any dust seals, because the other one on the other end hasn't got a dust seal, so this one hasn't got a dust seal. And all I've done is put a couple of pulleys either side to stop it from dusting, but there's about 1/8 of an inch gap either side. So it leaves a bit of a problem. I've got to try and get this pulley off. But I've come up with the idea, I'll drill some holes in the end and put some 3/8 bolts in, and I'll try and take it out that way with a little bit of heat on the pulley. I'll use this pulley that I made up years and years ago, and actually it's ideal for the job. I'm very happy about that I have got it. I don't think it will need much, I don't know, but I'll use heat at the same time to try and get it off as we progress. So then I straight away made me mind up. I said, well, let's get this all sorted in one big hit. So we'll definitely move everything around, get the pulleys a little bit more tighter, shorten the shaft so it's not looking like a shearing shed set up. Of course, this was back in the 40s. They didn't all have electrical drive belts. They would have run this one by electrical drive motors. They would have run this one by petrol, which seems that's why it has that big flat pulley in there. But that's okay, we'll get through this. We'll sort it all out at the same time, save some room and make it look better. Okay, moving on to the shaft. Right, I've been soaking it with WD-40 overnight, and the first lot went. Now I've put a little bit more in there, held up vertical, as you see here, and it's starting to move slowly. I don't know if that's moving across the surface or not, but we'll see how easy it comes off. That's a good sign if that's running through there. I'll wipe this off. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to mark a circle on there, and then I'm going to get the PCD before this to go on. I'll use, you see there, it's got 3 slots in there. Some terrible slot cutting there by me. Unfortunately I had to do that because something went wrong. But they are on line. So I will make a 3-hole circle. I'll use 8mm bolts. It should be alright for this. Okay, I'll set this for a 30mm diameter, so radius, and that will give us 60mm, going to be pitch circle diameter. Okay, so I don't want to put anything here. As you can see, there's a keyway there, put there to weaken that. So we start here, we put a mark there, then we go around. Now we've got the set, the radius of a circle will give you 6 times divisions on your radius. So what we'll do, we'll put 6 marks up there, put a hole in at every second spot. That's it. So we put a mark that all corresponds, which is a flute. So every second mark we put a centre pot mark. There you can see them there now. 1, 2, 3. Go and get me drill. Okay. First up, it did not come straight off, so it needs a little bit of persuasion. Wait a little bit of heat, and we'll go from there. Take a while. Give that a quick go, see what happens. Over the ground, all that. Oh man, the squid's on there pretty tight. Alright. Well, I tried pulling it using a puller, wouldn't budge. I tried to fit it into the drill, but distance from here to there, too short to take the drill, so I can get the drill bit up here. It's about here, it's about 120 or something like that. So that's all out of contention. Now I'm drilling a hole through there. I'm just using a pilot hole. I'm going to drill in here. They're getting close to going through there, and then we're going to put a bigger drill through there, the opposite to the other side, and probably one there, but in between I might give it a hit or two to see if it'll move. What's happened here, what I think, it was just someone's idea just to heat this up and then string it onto the shaft. You should never do that, because if this one breaks you've got to throw everything. Well, after that I start drilling holes. After I cut the shaft off, I had to cut the shaft off. There's no way in the world was I going to get it out. So I cut it off. Then I said, well, I'll relieve it and I'll drill some holes. As you can see there. I relieved it. And lo and behold, bushing come out of the... Actually, we're getting back to when it started being rehabilitated at one time. In the engineering terms, this is the worst fit you can ever do to a shaft. You should have a keyway or anything like that there and held in by a plate. Unfortunately, this hasn't had that. So, but what I was lucky to achieve, the pulleys behind this big pulley here, and plus the bearing block all floated free when I undone the bolts. And then I noticed that on this thing there was a hit with a hammer. You probably can't see that, can you? You can see that, yeah? Right, it's been hit with a hammer. So that means It's either someone's been trying to put this on beforehand or trying to get it off before. I don't know, I can't work it out. But anyway, I don't want to go there. As I say, as we're progressing, I'll keep on drilling the holes out until I relieve that shaft and knock the friggin' thing out. When I see things, I say, oh, this is a train wreck. This is a backyarder's job. And you can see it. You know, someone's coming with an oxy torch, heat this bush on. Put it onto there, bash it in there. Probably put a little bit of Loctite on there. Even back in the 70s they had Loctite. And then they would have heat the whole lot up. I don't know how they didn't crack it. And then shoved it on the shaft and let it cool tight on the shaft. Sorry, not in this world, mate. Pay the money, get it done properly. And that's what I've got to do. Get it done properly. Clean up, put a keyway in it, and keyway in the shaft, and that's it. Unfortunately, I cannot do with the lathe because this is the driving component of the lathe. So, unfortunately, I have to get it done outside. So it's going to cost me a few bickies to get it done, but that's alright. That's life. We'll get it done. That's why I didn't want any Christmas presents this year. Cheers. Catch you later. Well guys, it's been a long day, but I finally did get it out. Unfortunately, the bush came out, as I showed you, and then I had to do some drilling. It actually came out very well to knock out the bush, which took a lot of heat, a lot of heat. Very dangerous method of how they fitted that there, because it's cast iron, got steel bush, they bashed that in, forced that in, which you should never do with cast iron, a steel bush, steel into cast iron, and then they heated up the whole lot and they shrunk it onto the shaft. That's a complete no-no. Should never do that. But you know, that's how train wrecks develop. Well, we got it apart, so hopefully I can get a taper lock fitting to go into there. If not, I have to get this to fit, get this fitted properly and Scotch key it and then back to scratch, I would say. But at least I'll be able to change the bearing blocks. I'm going to change the bearing pillar blocks and that'll solve that problem. It's just not worthwhile mucking around with those things. Renew it. You can get a quality pillar block bearing that'll work very satisfactorily in this situation. Right. So, saga of the train wreck continues. It must come to an end very short. Okay, we're back at it. This is the final task I had to do on this train wreck to find out what was going on. And now, today I've done a little bit of shopping. We've got some pillar block bearings with the 1-inch shaft. I have managed to get all the pulleys off and found out what was the problem with this one here. I'll bring it a little bit closer if I can. What you can see here, rubber pointer, your finger will do. There's the bearing. That is the sleeve that goes over the bearing. You see this here? It's got a split in it. That is a bit bigger bearing. I didn't measure it. I don't care to measure it. It's more than 1 inch. So they put a sleeve in there, which didn't quite go to plan. There was a bolt missing on the housing to hold the bearing inside too as well. There is no felt seals. This one runs on felt seals that I found out, and it's supposed to be a rubber seal, I think, if I remember back at 50 years ago when I was engaged in these type of bearings. And as I said, it's a SKF. I don't know if you can pick up there, I'll zoom that in. There you are, SKF. Marvellous. They were around even then, probably in their infancy then. But so, I said I've done a little bit of shopping here. Probably all seen one of these. It's called a taper lock. And I'll get that fitted to that pulley. And we'll do away with that bushing and force fit and all that. A tidy fit, not a hell of a lot of pressure on the casting itself. Then over there we've got new pillar block bearings. I found out why the bearing was falling off over this end here. We'll zoom in on that if we can. It has been filed so that bearing just slips on, and it was a little slightly loose. Not the way that they're supposed to be fitted. They were mongrel bearings, I remember the day. It was just a blessing when the pillar block bearings come along there, because they were sliding fit, and all you have to do is make sure that your shaft was nice and clean. Whereas these are force fit there, and you used to struggle to get them out, and they were a bloody struggle. But there's a lot of nostalgia in this, you know. We've got these pulley belts. This is probably driven by a tractor. It might have been a tractor. Might have been a hit and miss engine that they use. That would have been strange how to keep the revolutions up on the lathe with a hit and miss. Then again, there was other ones around about that time that run at a fairly constant rate of revs per minute. You could imagine what type it would have been, a petrol motor type thing. Not like a Briggs and Stratham. There was the earlier types and all that before that. Big cast iron things. Then we've got the pulleys. But as I say, those pulleys, the job of those pulleys was to hold the shaft steady over the bearing so it didn't have the sideways movement. The pillar block bearings, they fix that up straight away. And of course, you can probably see this, okay, you can probably see that hole in there. And right next to it is another indentation, likewise here. Tightening this belt pulley onto that shaft, they put little holes in as you do. Indentation, but they missed the hole, the wrong size hole. There's a procedure how you're supposed to go and put those on too. There's a bit of wear on the shaft here, just there, where it had been running on the bearing itself. Somehow that sleeve has slipped out. I don't want to go there. Okay, well this brings us to the series of the train wreck. What we're doing from now on is the resurrection. Although I have started the resurrection of the train wreck. I have already started, as you know, that I built these stands there next to the welder. I don't think it's going to take much longer before she's starting to look like it's workable. I'll have to go and get the machine, it's the one who does this, to machine this. I'm sure there's a dozen people around locally that'll do that for me, which is unfortunate. I love to do it myself, but I ain't got a lathe to turn it. Okay, I'll catch you later. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you all on the next video.